Today's workplace is governed by a host of complex laws and regulations. Federal agencies charged with enforcing key laws have seen a steady rise in the number of complaints they receive. Recoveries have also skyrocketed in recent years, reaching all-time highs under laws prohibiting government fraud and bribery.
Legal missteps can destroy an organization and its hard-earned reputation, resulting in enormous fines and penalties, including jail time for individuals. The potential damages are far-reaching and can have a profound impact on the health, safety, and well-being of employees and people in the broader community.
It's why employers take legal compliance so seriously. But even in the most ethical workplaces, problems can arise, and employees can put an organization in jeopardy. So what's your role? How can you make a difference?
Preventing a compliance meltdown often comes down to one thing: early internal reporting. And it's not just the law department, HR, or an organization's compliance officials that should watch for misconduct. This is a critical responsibility shared by every employee at every level. Each employee is expected to speak up and report suspected misconduct.
Many laws encourage employees to step forward and report suspected problems by providing them with legal protection from retaliation when they do. Unfortunately, missteps in this area have sparked a tremendous growth in retaliation claims.
When managers or employees retaliate against someone or tolerate retaliation by others, they undermine an organization's culture and values and create significant legal risks. Retaliation, it's simply not tolerated.
For some enforcement agencies, retaliation claims now represent the largest volume of complaints.
Managers must be receptive to all good faith complaints and respond quickly. And managers and employees need to treat people with respect when they do speak up or help out during an investigation.
You are the first line of defense. You are your organization. Don't sit on the sidelines. Be a leader. Speak up. Get help. Report. We're dedicated to helping you understand today's workplace. In our interactive broadcast, we cover breaking news, important developments, and the legal trends that matter most to you. We ask your opinion, answer viewer questions, and have our experts weigh in. Fictional characters help put these issues in real-world context. In this broadcast about reporting and retaliation, you will learn about some of the key laws that apply to your organization and about your roles and responsibilities. Let's get started. WPN, helping you build a better workplace.
%, choose to report it. But when an individual remains silent, there can be serious consequences. Unreported issues tend to take on a life of their own. In this segment, we'll explore your obligation to report suspected violations of policy in the law, and we'll help you understand the process. Let's get started by testing your knowledge with a quick WPN viewer quiz. You suspect that another employee is violating the law. What should you do? The correct answer is B. Whenever an employee or a manager suspects that someone, whether it's another employee or even a business partner, may be violating law or policy, that individual has an obligation to make an immediate report to an internal resource, such as HR, legal, a senior manager, or an ethics advice line. Taking a wait-and-see attitude allows the problem to go unchecked. And tipping off an employee can actually undermine an organization's ability to investigate. Employees and managers are the eyes and ears of their organization. They are often the first to witness improper conduct, and in some cases, an employee report is how an employer first learns about a potential problem. In recent years, internal compliance programs have become more sophisticated, effective, and comprehensive. WPN investigative reporter Gabrielle Saunders has been looking into this trend and is with us today to share her results. Welcome to the program.
Thanks. It's a pleasure being back in the studio.
Hardly a week goes by without some major scandal or enforcement action hitting the news.
The numbers are startling. Even in the most ethical of organizations, employees break the law. It's a real challenge for employers.
You've been focusing on what organizations are doing to intervene before an employee crosses that line.
That's right. Where organizations once encouraged employees to step forward, many are now requiring employees to report suspected violations of the law or policy to an internal resource, like HR, management, or the law department.
You spoke with employees and managers who were dealing with suspected fraud, insider trading, financial irregularities, and even bribery.
Yes. In fact, a couple of organizations allowed us to speak directly with their employees on camera about these challenging topics. I'd like to play a few clips for your viewers. In this first clip, a manager and an employee were dealing with an accounting issue that impacted earnings. As a public company, what they report as earnings must be truthful and accurate.
I guess I got a little suspicious when I noticed a high volume of returns from the same customers.
I've been Penny's manager for several years now, and I've learned to trust her instincts. So when she told me there was a problem, I listened. Penny?
I'm not 100% sure, but I think we may have a problem with the way Gabe's been handling some of his accounts.
Gabe? What's the problem?
It might be nothing. It's just...
Penny, you don't need to worry. If you've got a concern, then I want to hear about it.
Gabe's been putting through some pretty big orders right before the quarter closes. Some of his clients are buying double the normal amount.
That's why we call him the closer. And he's the reason we hit our numbers, so what's the problem?
His deals are falling apart. Most of his clients are asking for refunds after we've announced our numbers to the shareholders.
Penny, we get returns all the time.
I know. So that's why I looked at the last 3 quarters.
And?
It happened every quarter, but only with Gabe.
Have you talked to Gabe about it?
I tried. He told me to just process the refunds and not upset his customers.
Okay. Bring me the paperwork on all these accounts. I don't want to jump to any conclusions, but I think we'll need to get HR and internal audit involved. And Penny, thanks for bringing this to my attention.
Burke handled this situation really well. Even though he was surprised, he took Penny's concerns seriously. And good thing he did. HR and audit investigated. Gabe had side deals with clients, allowing them to get refunds after the return period had expired. He did it to boost his own sales numbers, but it also artificially inflated quarterly earnings. The company had to restate its earnings, which is a big deal when you're publicly traded.
Let's pause here for a moment and review some of the compliance challenges that organizations face today. When employees or managers spot any of these issues, they should make an immediate internal report. Okay, let's move on. Your interview with Theo really struck a chord with me. I know people like him. They know what they should do, but they are conflicted when it's a friend.
Theo is not proud of the decisions he made. He agreed to speak on camera, but only if we changed his name and protected his identity.
It was about 3 months ago. An employee came to me. She didn't work for me, but I knew who she was. She claimed she overheard her manager, Jaden, talking on his cell phone about a confidential acquisition that our company was about to make. Apparently, he said, now is the perfect time to buy stock. I've known Jaden a long time. Honestly, I thought her allegations were outlandish. But Jaden and I started at the company together. Our kids go to school together. He volunteers in the community. He's a good guy. I know I'm supposed to escalate a complaint like this, but what if she was wrong? An accusation like this could sink a career. I wasn't going to risk his career and livelihood on a conversation that I didn't personally hear or believe. So I stayed quiet. I made the wrong choice. 2 months later, I got a call from an internal auditor. She was looking into allegations of insider trading. Jaden was the target.
Theo let his friendship get in the way of his obligations. Reporting the situation immediately could have saved him and his company a lot of damage.
That's right. Insider trading scandals are serious business. Theo's company ended up paying some hefty fines that may have been avoided with an early report. Not only is it against policy for employees to share material, non-public information outside of a company, but it can also violate the law and put an organization at a competitive disadvantage.
Before we move on to the next clip, let's take a quick break from this broadcast for a viewer challenge question. Devon's manager asks him to sign off on quality inspection reports that contain falsified numbers. Devon is concerned and tells a coworker, Caroline, about the situation. Devon asks Caroline not to say anything because he wants to deal with it his own way. Who has an obligation to speak up? The correct answer is B. Both employees have an obligation to speak up. This isn't just about Devon or his wishes. The suspected misconduct may be putting the broader organization and even the community at risk. It's not okay to be a silent bystander. Caroline must make a report even if Devon has asked her not to. Now, back to our interview with Gabrielle Saunders. You also spoke with employees who were reluctant to report.
I did. Christine was initially reluctant, but she learned a valuable lesson about making an internal report.
Started with a simple invoice from a company called Retaliation Group. My coworker Mason had ordered parts from them as part of a big government contract our company was working on. I stopped by his desk to talk to him about the invoice. His reaction made me think that something was going on. Mason, this parts invoice you approved from Vexilum seems high.
So what's the big deal?
I didn't think these parts would cost this much.
What do you care? It's not like it's coming out of your pocket.
Look, it's important.
Remind me again who's the engineer and who's the accountant.
That's uncalled for.
Yeah, so it's standing over my shoulder and second-guessing my work. So why don't you let me worry about getting the project completed on time?
Not long after that, I overheard Mason telling a coworker that if I interfered in his work again, I'd be sorry. Mason rattled me. I felt like I had a target on my back just for doing my job. And to be honest, I was worried that I would just make it bigger if I went to my manager. So I chose not to say anything. And we shipped the first round of product out to 15 government locations. I just couldn't shake the feeling that Mason was up to something. And we were about to ship the next round of product. So I went to my manager. Better late than never, right? My instincts were dead on. Vexilum turned out to be a company owned by Mason's brother. Mason had ordered inferior products from them at inflated rates, and he'd made improper product substitution without permission from the government and exposed our company to serious legal risk. Luckily, we were able to fix the situation. But here's the thing. I should have said something sooner.
For organizations that are highly regulated, like healthcare, energy, finance, and transportation, or that have contracts with the government, it is incredibly important that all dealings and representations made to the government are honest and accurate. Engaging in any form of fraud or misrepresentation can expose an organization to enormous legal risk. Christine's report came late, but the good thing was that she took action.
What about Mason? What happened with him?
Turns out Mason was getting hefty kickbacks from his brother. Mason paid a stiff price. He lost his job and is defending himself in a criminal lawsuit.
Christine also made a point of reporting Mason's threatening conduct.
She did. In employer policies, this kind of conduct is typically called retaliation. And even if it's not unlawful, the conduct can still get you in trouble at work. Any conduct that is meant to discourage someone from making a good faith report, like harassment or threats, or punishing someone because they made a report, is strictly prohibited.
What should an employee do if they think that they're being retaliated against at work?
Make an immediate report to an internal resource like HR or a manager. Employers are vigilant about protecting people who make good faith complaints and taking corrective action against those who retaliate.
Gabrielle, thanks for this fascinating and eye-opening report.
Glad I could share this story with your viewers.
We've covered a lot of ground on complaints and retaliation today. Let's briefly recap what we've learned during this broadcast. Employees must review and follow their employer's policies and comply with the law. Employees must immediately report all suspected misconduct to an internal resource, such as HR, management, or the law department. Employees are expected to participate in an investigation when asked. Retaliation is strictly prohibited. All right, before we move on, answer the following WPN Knowledge Challenge.
Martin suspects that a coworker has been bribing a Chinese government official to get reduced taxes and duties. Martin told his manager, but his manager told him the practice was fine and not to worry. Martin is still concerned that the payments violate policy and may even be unlawful. What should Martin do? That's right. Martin should make a second complaint to an internal resource, such as another manager, HR, or the law department.
Before concluding our broadcast, let's take a closer look at this topic. Answer the following questions. Thanks to Gabrielle for joining us with her fascinating report on internal reporting and compliance programs. Stay with WPN for more of the workplace news that matters.
Before proceeding, you must review each of the resources listed below. To complete the program, you must confirm your understanding of all the material you've reviewed and your agreement to follow your employer's policies. You must click on the I agree button to complete and receive credit for this program.